So we're all sitting here this afternoon at Tools 2025 in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And everybody, when they were asking me, what did you want to have happen, Jeff, at Tools? And I'm like, if I can get, and I'm sitting with friends, first of all. I'm sitting with people I really consider friends. But if I could get Check Engine Chuck, to meet Keith Perkins and Paul Danner, I can consider the trip a success. If I never do anything else, I could blow the Jeep up on the way home. It wouldn't matter. It'd be all worth it. So I'm sitting here today with Paul Danner, Keith Perkins, Check Engine Chuck, and you all know me. And we're at Tools 2025, and we're here to just kind of just shoot the breeze and talk. So, Paul, as always, so cool to see you, man.
I know, man. I'm glad to be here. We didn't do any other podcast recordings, and I told you, I was like, I want to sit down with you. So, and you said this idea, and I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. And Keith, you and I are becoming pretty frequent talkers, which is awesome. I love that. Yeah. So, and Chuck, you and I, since ASTA last year when you attended, have really kind of started to reach out and go back and forth. And we were talking last night how you wouldn't even have gone to ASTA if I hadn't gone on live with you and backed you into a corner and said you really should go.
I wouldn't be here if you didn't almost do this. You didn't have to come on my live this time at least. But honestly, you definitely, what's the word I'm looking for, facilitated the fact that I'm even here. But after this one, I'll be trying to hit all of them in the future. Yeah.
It's a big, and I want everybody to understand it. It's a big financial responsibility and expense to make these trips. And so I appreciate everybody that does. Like, I don't say that enough because, like, with this podcast, what it does is it allows me to make these trips for, not a huge expenditure out of my pocket. But for people in business, this is still a very expensive thing for you guys to be doing the time away plus the expense of getting here. So I want to say again, I appreciate everybody that makes these trips. So, what's new, guys? Like, Paul, we'll start with you. How's things?
I started a head cold today, which kind of sucks. And I'm like, of all time, I'm like, so that's what's new for me is I'm like, I just want to take a nap. Yeah. But I'm good.
You've brought the charity thing here, which we really have to talk about. You're doing a big raffle for silent auction, I guess is a better thing to say.
Yeah. So we, we're kind of expanding a little bit with what we do. And, I was telling Chuck last night that we've been, this first time we've met too, which is kind of awesome. We've been doing the YouTube game since 2012. And, gets old sometimes. And, not that, I'm stopping any of that, but we just kind of looking beyond and what's next. And that's when Kristen and I, decided we were going to start this charity. Yeah. And so we're here today, not really representing ScannerDanner, but representing SD Charities, Inc. And my wife is the president, and Brett Fadley, who's organized everything. It was his idea to do a tool auction. Yeah. And we set that up, reached out to vendors, and we were just blown away by everybody's generosity. I wish I had names to name all the companies that donated to us.
We had Top Don sent some stuff.
Yeah, and Pico and Autel and Milwaukee. And I know, it's a 4425A. Yeah. A good kit, when we have some coaches that, offering, and Rick White of 180 Biz just offered an $18,000 coaching package that I just put on the auction.
That's phenomenal.
And when they ran that at Vision, I think it brought in like $6,000, and I mean, for that one piece alone. And, all of this for this one, it's just really cool to be able to do this with my wife and to kind of give back to the same community that supports what we do. It's, our mission statement for SD Charities is helping the automotive community and beyond. And this particular one, we are staying within the community. There is a school in Senegal, Africa, longtime premium member of my website. A friend, we developed a friendship. He's a fellow believer, and it's kind of a Christian-based organization too. And over the years, we developed a friendship, and I learned what he does. And a few years ago, before we ever even did the charity thing, we've always been charitable in what we do.
Yeah.
We were able to purchase a generator for the school because their electric grid's so poor in Africa. Now what they're facing is petroleum's an issue for the generator because with, all the stuff going on with politics, let's leave that aside. They're trying to go solar because it'll be more affordable for them, but it's a few $100,000s to be able to do that. And yeah, granted, we're not going to be able to raise that kind of money, but to be able to hand an organization like that, maybe 10,000 or a little bit more to, put a dent in this idea, whether it goes to solar for them or just helping them out. The unique part about their program is they are allowing the students, they're taking in outside work and they actually pay these guys while they're at school. So talk about, it's not just school. It's like these guys are developing a skill and they're paying and they're able to help feed their families while they're in. And we just wanted to be part of that.
That's
so
awesome.
Special thanks to Tools and what they did for us and opening that up for us and giving us a platform to do that. So they'll have the drawing tonight, and that's why we're here. It's pretty awesome to be here, not as ScannerDanner, but to be here as SD Charities. Yeah. And like you said, Chuck, I think what that'll do is we'll be at a lot more, given that.
Now, Keith, you kind of shared with me last night, you've kind of a short little bit of a plan that you've got going on in your area, where you kind of shared, you kind of want to do the Zeb Beard thing and dominate Oklahoma. Can you share a little bit or?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at properties right now for building the next shop. Yeah, it's not quite. Zeb found me a facility that's larger than his because he's like, I found one larger than mine. And I was like, okay, what are we talking about? Outside the budget for right now. But yeah, we're working on that. We're working towards it. The numbers everything's working where it's supposed to. We're succeeding where we want to, by the hair of our chin. I'm taking everything and we're slamming it right back into business. I'm not buying any boats right now. I'm not buying.
So if you're not familiar, the boat thing is a big joke that goes back a couple years now in the ASA group where when the divide was really big and wide between shop owners and staff, the running joke was become, if I pay you straight time or hourly, I can't buy the boat that I want to have. So now when you see somebody reference a boat, it's that joke.
Right.
It's just, and it's like chlamydia. It's staying with us. It's not going away, that joke. So it's pretty good. I think it's only a matter of time for you guys. Yeah. I think it is.
I'm not rushing it. I'm not worried about it. It's going to happen when it happens.
Yeah.
All the things are moving where I want them to move. They're moving faster than I want them to move. I'd rather just keep it all in control in the area. That way, the quality of everything is exactly the same all the way across. Yeah.
You don't.
I got a bunch of moving parts right now. I've got a locksmith business that's in a Connex box, basically. Entire inventory, entire van, entire structure, the management system I built. I wrote software for it that has everything ready to go. I need to get a technician, get them trained in what we're doing, build the rest of the processes, and put them in it and go.
Fantastic.
A bunch of little moving things, stuff like that. I got a software company that's kind of kicking off a little bit. Got some interesting. Everyone's doing that ADOS thing right now. Where you take pictures of the car and what this is. I'm working on something that's more like for programming.
Hey, I'm Eric Frank, and this is FS Automotive. We were doing business the old way, so we were leaving a lot on the table. We signed on with Techmetric. We were able to start tracking these things, which we weren't doing before. Within 2 weeks, this thing had paid for itself. It was making me at least twice of what I was making before, within a week. It was a total game changer. If I could do one thing to change the way I was doing business, it would be to start Techmetric and do it sooner. I mean, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Techmetric.
And keys.
Yeah.
So we select the car, we select the module, and it says these things need to be done. You're going to need 2 keys. You're going to have to do this relearn. You're going to have to do this. A used one will work. We've determined this aftermarket tool will do this part of the job, X, Y, and Z. Yeah. That's
Very
awesome.
cool.
So we got a lot of moving
For someone
pieces.
like me, that's a
That's what it's
tool.
for.
Yeah,
I'm trying to build it out so it's ready to go, and then it
Right.
can just be used by everybody.
that's awesome.
So, yeah, as a support tool.
Right.
And you're doing some really interesting stuff too. I've seen as of late.
I can't follow up on these guys. I mean, I'm just still a guy in my basement and a truck, when it comes down to it. But
you're too
I've just honestly, I've been ASTA kicked it off for me, really, and I've just been trying to expand my knowledge, the services I could provide to the shops that I go to and diagnose for. I was talking to Keith last night, and we were saying how, like, once you start doing something out of your normal realm, that it just starts falling into your lap. It's like the first time I was on your show, I was talking about how I was just getting into EPROM work.
Yeah.
And then when I was at ASTA, I was saying how great of a EPROM class it was I took. And now I had all these new tools. And then I got home, and then I very quickly found out, wait a minute, on EPROM, I'm 10, 15 years behind. Everything's MCU now. Now I got to figure out everything on the MCU side of things. So yeah, me, it's been more of a personal journey on trying to expand my knowledge, and of course share that knowledge with everyone that I possibly can once I learn it myself, so that they could use that if they need to.
Yeah, and that was the whole thing for me, is like, I've seen you come so far in just your shift in truly starting to know your own worth, right? And you and I have lots of conversations behind the scenes where, you said you were there 6 hours working on a car, and it took you that long, and it kicked your butt, but you got to the bottom of it, right? And sometimes you're like, that made no sense financially, right? But it's what you do, and I mean, there's so much of that still resonates, because I know everybody at this table has been there and done that, and will continue in the challenges we see in life. We'll face it that way, because it's just the only way we know how to be. We can't let it beat us, and I think that's so cool. I wanted to talk about, because we're online creators, right? And we're technicians.
Male entertainer.
Yeah. And there's a responsibility that comes with that, right?
OnlyFans.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not judging.
I'm talked about it at the last podcast I did with you, and I bought it. I own onlywrenches.com.
Do you?
I have it. So there we go.
Nice.
And it's one of them things where I've had a real kind of awakening in the last year, where I'm trying to be, I don't want to say nicer, but just sometimes bite my tongue a little bit more. And if I am going to say something, say it in a little bit more effective manner than what I've been known to say it. Because as it keeps, people reaching, just before I come up here, somebody sits down at the table with me as I'm finishing up lunch and tells me how every Tuesday morning they cannot wait to turn the podcast on and listen to my guest and what I have to say that week. And a lot of it, thank God, is mostly what I think they want to hear what the guest has to say. But I mean, that's a big deal, right? When because like I said to him, I'm so scared sometimes that it's the shop owners that I'll be alienating by constantly having the conversations that I'm having. But I'm finding that it's the other way, where it's like, no, man, I'm running a shop, and so much of what you put into we're adopting in our culture, and it's like, it's a weight. And it used to be the only person that would say that to me would be Lucas.
Right.
And it was like, okay, that's one guy. Now, when it's in the hundreds of people that say that to me, it's like I'm starting to embrace the fact that I have to be better.
Believe it or not, people are actually there to listen to you as well. I mean, just before we walked up here, I went to go find you, and there was someone thanking you for what you do, for the industry on the podcast, and telling you how his whole shop listens to it. And, so believe it or not, they're there for you too, Jeff.
Funny story that I've shared. I just started a new job 3 weeks ago, and I sat down with my employer when I sat down to do the interview, and he calls his boss at the next location that we'll call it the main hub of the shop. And he's like, "Oh yeah, and Jeff, by the way, has a podcast." And I'm like, "Oh my God, here we go. How did you?" I did, because it's not on my resume. How does he know? But he knows from talking to a reference of mine that he has this podcast. Yeah. And the guy says, "Yeah, everybody in the shop every Tuesday morning is blaring it in the shop." And I'm thinking, "Oh crap!"
That's awesome.
Like,
that's awesome, man.
Yeah. So
at least there's no hidden part of it that they think, there's no expectation there.
Yeah.
Right? They already understand what it's going to be.
Yeah. But I'm always thinking, do I have to then really censor myself? And I've kind of come to the conclusion that I'm not going to censor myself. I'm going to be exactly what I've always been, just me. And if it costs me something, or people think I got to really watch what I say about where I work, or it's never going to be like that. You know what I mean? It's like I don't go naming names. But if I tell you a story that I witnessed in my career, it's because I witnessed it. It happened. It's the legit truth of like what I went through. So, but getting back to the responsibility thing, I think that's what we all have to do. And we kind of talked about, because sometimes it gets a little, like you hate Facebook.
I hate Facebook.
Right? And it gets a little fray, and you sometimes struggle. You got to back away because
I hate all of it.
Yeah.
I want a flip phone, and I want to buy a farm and chase some chickens around.
Unplug, yeah. So it's like I'm trying to move away from the negative, right? So it's like, and I'm not here to call out anybody, but it's like, and you and I've talked, when we're building a platform or a message or getting on our soapbox, whatever analogy you want to use, we have to remember that, like, it's one thing to say the customer didn't get it fixed, and it's another to go throwing a shop or another technician under the bus. And for 20 years that I've been engaging with people, I always, from the technician standpoint, always wanted to say, well, they probably didn't pay the tech enough or give them enough time, and that's why the car's still not broke or is still broke. And the reality is sometimes that's true. Sometimes it's just not true. It's not incompetent. It's just incompetence, right? They're not tooled up, trained up, didn't know.
Don't care.
That's the hardest one for me to swallow as a pill because it's malice, right? And I want to think that we're all not that way. We're all above board and doing the best that we can
do.
But we're not.
As a society, we're not.
Yeah. And it sucks. So I choose to keep my circle of people who don't throw others under the bus. And you have the great example of going back to that shop that you talked about
with the bus.
With the airbags. But it's not really though.
Yeah, that was
And can you kind of share with me, because Liz kind of shared it with me. She said to me last night, she said, well, Keith had a new customer come in because of that video. Can you kind of just touch on that a little bit? How the power of that?
Yeah. I mean, so for the shortened story for the guys that probably haven't seen it, Mini Cooper was brought to me to program a module. During programming of the airbag module, I recognized that this was a collision car from a body shop, found that they had removed the pretensioners and the airbags. They cut all the connectors and soldered in resistors to get
in the bags themselves.
Into the pretensioners, in the pretensioner circuit for the seatbelts.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
There were 2 airbag codes. I didn't investigate much further. Once I found it was that, I was just like, all right, get it out of my shop. I don't want to do with it. There's no ticket on it or nothing. You don't owe me any money. You need to leave. You need to not come here.
Yeah.
Had a conversation with them on the phone.
Because then you could be liable.
Yeah,
right. You don't want your name attached.
And I didn't. Luckily, I did not program the module. I luckily actually got nothing done, but found that and was like, okay, I'm because I called him on the phone. He admitted to it.
Right.
He was like, oh, yeah. He's like, yeah, I put 2.0 sensors in there. I'm like, 2.0?
2.0?
Like, he said 2.0 sensors. And I was like, huh? Yeah. Older guy. And he was totally fine with it. I explained it was wrong, and he wanted to argue that it was right.
Right.
Tens of thousands of cars come with no airbags. I'm like, yeah, but this one came with it. Or came with tensioners too. Anyways, yeah, I made a video. I was frustrated. You shouldn't throw a bunch of people under the bus or whatever, but this is a safety problem. This is one of those like, hey, I see this all the time, but now I have the person that admitted to it, and they think it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's not okay. Like, don't do this. If you're doing this, don't do this. If you're buying a used car, be careful of this.
Yeah.
Blah, blah.
That was meant to be done as a troubleshooting guide. You put your 2-ohm resistor in, and code goes away. Your circuit's fine.
Yes.
Module's fine. Don't leave it there.
Right. And he tried to, I was going to leave it there. Is that why you cut the connectors off flush, soldered, and then electrical taped it? And then tucked it back in the panels and clipped the panels back on? That's why that happened?
That's crazy.
Yeah. Had it been like hanging out of the side with resistors plugged in it left there, I'd have been like, yeah, dude, I carry hundreds of 2.2, 2.5, 2.7 ohm resistors to test airbags.
For testing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not for fixing, for testing.
For testing.
Like, exactly.
Yeah. And then, then we're beholden to that. Our responsibility is like when we show that as a testing method, we explain very clearly why we did it and why we don't do it and why we don't leave it there. This thing, that comes to that question to that. But anyways, it brought a customer come in, said, I saw your video. I appreciate your integrity. And I was like, I'm not perfect. I will, this is how we work. And it's brought in a couple people. I also lost about 60% of all my collision center work.
Yeah.
I lost like $30,000 a year out of this. So,
did you?
Yeah.
I mean, and that
collision work out of it because this guy's been in town for 50 years.
Right.
So all the small mom and pops, I have 0 of them anymore. I have very few collision work at all anymore. I probably lost closer to 100K, but because our growth, I can't really tell.
Yeah.
Because we're growing constantly, so it's hard. But it's like I saw a reduction in movement forward. So I lost tens and tens.
Just because they were mad that you called that guy out.
One of the bus,
Yeah.
I mean, when Jeff's talking about responsibility, though, like I kind of see that as with your platform, that's your responsibility to show that. Right. To educate people on the fact that this is not the right way to do this.
Yeah. And if we're using that methodology, we've all done airbag videos,
right? And
we're testing them, and it's like, man, I gotta think more about that. Like,
I chuckled. I can't think of an airbag video without blowing up.
I know that story. I do know that story. I don't know if everyone listening to this does, but
so there was somebody. you took the occupant classification module and unbolted it and moved it with it plugged in, and then some airbags went off in the vehicle.
Well, I was doing a final step was the circuit for the it was in the door. I forget which sensor it was.
Like an impact sensor?
Impact sensor on the door.
Yeah.
Driver's side door. Doing some voltage measurements, and whatever they're using, bias wise wasn't there. So doing circuit integrity, I couldn't get rid of the code no matter what I did.
Right.
So I'm now doing checks at the module. I'm ready to call the module. I'm just going through the normal motions.
Yeah.
Powers and grounds, make sure no opens and shorts in that one side.
Yep.
I think I even took like one of the other sensors out and swapped it.
Yeah.
Because it was a new sensor on the driver's
Did you
side.
release it as a video?
Yeah, but it's on the paid channel.
like,
you have to pay to watch me blow up the airbag.
So I had talked about it, and you would send me clips and show me videos.
We put some shorts out there and used it in like promoting and stuff. But to watch the whole process, it's on my website. But I realized I couldn't get to the pins where the module was, where the connector was. So I was like, no big deal. I'm just gonna unbolt it and then turn it over so I could access the pins, and because I want to do loaded circuit, key on powers and grounds, right? Yeah. Which in hindsight, that I should have used an external load, like one of Chuck's tools he makes.
Yeah.
Should have used something like that. I realized as I'm checking it that I think there was a ground. It wasn't a ground wire, but it was like a sensor ground circuit that was showing me high voltage. That I was like, because the board ground is on the. There is no ground on this module. Yeah. The housing's the ground.
Right.
I realized that, and it still didn't connect the dots that there's a rollover sensor in this module. And I'm like, oh, that I created that because I unbolted it.
Yeah.
As soon as I connected the jumper wire to ground to give the module the ground, so I could finish my tests.
Right.
I was good.
Talking.
I was good. I connected it. At first, I thought the side curtain airbags blew because the jumper wire connection and the little arc that I saw, it wasn't. It was, I connected it and then I turned it. And the second I turned that module, bam.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Not to take away a short story of that. One of my techs, Zach, he went out to a shop to go lock an ORC module in a Dodge truck. And he went out and they had both of them laying there. So he locked ORC module, got a program with YTech, left, went around to go do a Mercedes around the corner, and he heard, and then didn't think anything about it. And then Justin, the guy runs, I was like, Zach, he just blew every bag in that truck.
Oh, man.
And so the kid was fine. He was okay.
Yeah.
But he went to go switch the modules, left the key on, and was like, is this the new one? And turned it over to see if it had junkyard writing on it, to see if it was some used model. Because they had a used module they were using for testing, and then they ordered a brand new one for us to lock to it.
So it did the steering and the driver's bag and passenger bag, or just the side curtains?
It did like all the bags.
Mine was just the side curtains.
It blew the front bags. He grabbed the module and like flipped it over.
Oh,
Right.
man.
Like just
Paul
aggressively.
just made the car go like this.
I did.
He made the car flip over.
Yes. I made the car flip
We
over.
watch all those TRXs do the ramp and they land in the side bags.
Oh,
Yours did.
man.
It did a front somersault, flip, turn, run.
Wow. We ate that one, though.
So it happened.
Yeah, we
Well,
ate that.
That's what I was just going to say. You guys
$1,500 worth of
You did
stuff.
the right thing. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's on camera,
didn't just
too.
put-
I'm not just going to...
Right.
I want to use this footage. It was worth $1,500.
You could have just put resistors in.
Oh, yeah.
It's true.
So going back to it, that's the responsibility of us, right? And you know, I don't want to always, but when I correct you when you say throwing that other shop under the bus, we're not throwing them under the bus. We're actually advocating for the industry, and that's where people are listening to us sometimes when you have your posts and your rants, and you do. We're not throwing other people under the bus, but we're advocating for the right way to do things.
Yeah.
And the doing it the wrong, we're not really interested in the excuses anymore about why people do it the wrong way. We've all heard them. They're not original. And let's just move on past it. And if you want to do you do you, right? We're all never going to be able to completely stop the shenanigans.
Yeah,
we can't. But it's like the more that this trickles down into people understanding that our responsibility is to give the people back a repaired, safe, reliable vehicle the right way. When other people say, hey, dude, that's not the right way, they're not calling you out, but they're just saying, maybe you don't know. And that's it. Calling you out is like, we've seen that. We've been part of that. And then like you shared with me last night, the more that you learn the behind the scenes story of what's going on, then we sometimes end up with egg on our face. And I don't ever want to do that again. And we're just kind of talking about, a particular engine job and a guy with a big following and all this kind of stuff. You shared with me how you guys have been able to kind of I don't want to patch it up, but you've had words after the fact. And that guy that everybody wanted to crucify extended to you a really nice gesture.
Correct. And I look at the person and the situation, or the people, I should say, and the situation in a completely different light than I did even the last time that we were on the podcast together at ASTA. To the point where I've got a shame about it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it, at that point, I thought it was taking a toll on me for whatever reasons. And at this point, I realized it took a toll on me for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And you get this kind of platform and you get people to reach out to you. And sometimes you're led into feeling like you're doing the right thing when there's a key point of missing information in there.
Yeah.
And because of that, I realized that even if I think, Bob's Big Tire sales store is doing the wrong thing to their customers and they're selling them used tires and calling them new, I'm not going to speak up about it anymore. Yeah. It's not, that's not my business. And as much as I would hate to see someone, get sold used tires, told that they're new and everything, it's not my next door neighbor and it's not my place to even enter myself into.
And there's levels of the unprofessionalism, right? So we kind of have to, I think, pick our battles in that way. And then we have to realize sometimes that it's like, I've always tried to not, because I didn't have both sides of the story, I always wanted to, because I have such love for my brothers and sisters that do what I do as a tech, I always wanted to blame the customer.
Right.
And that hasn't been right either. And so there's a lot of people I owe apologies for, because it has been just straight up incompetence or shady shit going on that they didn't get what they were paid for. But, so it's accountability, man. It's transparency and accountability. That's all what it's about. And, the people that are out there immediately just making their whole platform about shops are ripping them off, and here I am with a big shiny truck doing all this charity work. Like, I don't have any hate for them, but I mean, that narrative, at the end of the day, serves you and it does not serve the industry.
Right.
And I think that if we were going to have a platform of getting out there every day and monetizing ourselves through online creation, that we have a responsibility to look at the industry that we're using to monetize ourselves out of and be honorable to it. And that's why it's like everybody that pulls up and says the other shop didn't do this right, you don't have the second side of the story. You're not showing paperwork. Like, find a different way to highlight yourself without doing it at the expense of your brothers and sisters, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, yeah, that was a funny one for me, because that's the first person that kind of is like, I don't want to say has done me wrong, but has, like, I thought I saw potential there to really turn what they were trying to do around. And at the end of the day, they're doing good. They're doing well. But, it's like we talked about, towards the beginning of the new year. If it all goes away tomorrow, the monetization from social media, you have to be able to survive without that.
Right.
And that young man doesn't.
Right. And I think that's a big part of it is, like, social media obviously is not going anywhere. But if you put it in the hypothetical sense of social media disappeared, the internet broke.
Yep.
The internet went away. Okay. And we're back to before the ages of the internet tomorrow. The people that are specifically making videos catering to giving food to the homeless, and they're making all of their money off of that, they're not going to be able to make any more money.
That's right.
Because them giving food to the homeless, no one's going to be paying them for that anymore the second social media disappears.
That's right.
And us being in our industry, unfortunately, I do feel that it gives the impression to people that we should be giving this away for free.
Yeah.
When that's not, we're here to make a profit. We are. Like, I grew up poor. I didn't understand until very recently, and I'm still learning how to charge, what I should be charging, and how it's not immoral to be doing that. But I just don't think it's a great look.
And all of us, in some way or shape or form, have been involved with or worked for people that don't value themselves. You and I talk about that all the time, right? And it's tough because I feel pulled sometimes. I really do. But at the end of the day, like I'm almost broken in the sense that, like I said to you last night, you know, somebody could be homeless and living out of the car, and the car would cost $4,000 to fix, and that's still going to be the bill. I may then turn around and collect the money, and then I might turn around and give them $1,000 worth of groceries. But I'm not going to try to figure out how to make the bill from 4 to 3 so that they keep the 1,000. Do you understand what I mean? That just a little bit of difference there of because at the end of the day, then everybody that didn't necessarily want to devalue themselves for that particular transaction, and this is what I want the shop owners to understand, they didn't have a say. They didn't have a choice. And then we forget that at the end of the year that we're looking at it going, they're not all that effective. They're not all that productive. And it's like, whoa, that column that we did all that, we don't even think about. So it's heavy sometimes. This is the kind of stuff that plays through my brain when I'm thinking and interviewing so many people and thinking about this kind of stuff. And it's like, you know, I just stay steadfast with what I think is the right way to do things. And
I think it's helping a lot of people, Jeff. So you keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, don't change
little
it.
things. Yeah, I mean, we, you know, even for people that maybe lurk sometimes and catch a little bit here and there, you know, you're still picking up nuggets that can be used and applied. Just the example you just gave is one where, you know, you're discounting that particular job because your emotions are involved, and your idea, it's admirable what you want to do. You want to take care of this person.
Yep.
But what you're not realizing is if that's your operating system, then you're not able to take care of your technicians.
Yeah.
You're not able to take care of your staff because you're kind of undercutting what they need to discount the customer, to quote, take care of the customer. And there's, you know, it's not the mindset that's wrong.
no,
The mindset is right. Like, it's admirable. It's you know, it's just, but you're not thinking the big picture. Because behind the scenes, you're struggling to make pay. You're struggling to bring the guys in you need, because you're not able to pay them more. And what you're not realizing, some of these owners aren't able to connect the dots where it's starting from.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways I've witnessed in all of you guys, with Lucas and and David and you and some of these other guys talking about Matt Fonslow and Sean Tipping,
yes.
You know, all these great podcasts talking about similar things. Like, it's been real eye-opening for me. And I'm not a garage owner, but I know some garage owners, and you know, it's nice to be the little chirping bird on in their ear.
Right.
Like, hey man, you should probably try this, you know, and start seeing small changes. It's a big thing. It's good what you're doing, Jeff.
So can I ask everybody then, what's kind of, you know, and there's no particular order you got to answer or whatever, what's a wish that you have for the industry right now? What's a wish that you have for it? If you could snap your fingers and say, I wish this went away, or this all of a sudden became so much easier, what would you wish it would be? I guess, Chuck.
I can't snap my fingers and come up with one. Honestly, I really just I wish we stopped being the butthole of the trades when it comes down to it. I wish that we all would band together, and this is so hard being that you have 18,000 dealers and how many independent repair shops in the country. But you know, I've been saying this for a long time, is I think that we need to step out of being the butthole financially in the industry as well. And I think that labor rates should be much, much higher than they are, and that those labor rates don't necessarily go to the owner's pocket as much as it does to the staff's pocket. Once that starts going to the staff's pocket and they start doing more quality work, we can finally start to engage and bring in young people into this that we really need right now. And the other thing too is you raise that labor rate. Now you're adding so many things, like this new value with shop owners of buying tools for their techs coming into the industry. Now you've got the funds to do that, and you know, maybe you've got that flashy box that's going to attract a young guy into the shop. And what's so tough about that too is on what Paul was saying, is that when you're, especially one that grew up poor, when you're a technician turned business owner, it's so hard not to see it as I'm giving away $100 versus my business is giving away $100, and that $100 doesn't affect me as much as it affects my business, which in turn down the road very much affects me. You know.
And you have to think, because, and I think that's just a little oversight at a lot of people in business. They think they are the business. The owner is the business, and it's a team is the business.
Right.
You know, I talked to a guy, and he had his best month ever. But at the same time, he talked about the struggles his tech had health-wise in the last month, which led to some mistakes happening, and they made it all right. They got behind it. They got ahead of it, and he still had his best month ever. But I look at him and ask him, and it's like, that's some pretty big mistakes. Like, are you going to fire that guy? And he's like, nope. So that's where I would have 10 years ago, I would have probably wouldn't even asked that question. I would have just assumed that guy was definitely going to be gone. So, I mean, I think that's cool. And it's only through him networking with the people that he's networked that he's realized that it's like, and maybe the shortage is part of this too, because it's like, yeah, there's 3 big mistakes there, but you're not going to get that level if you fire him. And this is the thing. And going back to the tool thing, you know, the shiny tool, Keith, as an example, that's been just the norm at L1 forever, is he supplies the tools, you know?
All the tools.
Right. All the tools.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Every socket, flashlight, battery, everything.
That is awesome. And that's the thing too, is I've decided at this point, my business is a guy. It's just a guy. It's going to be a guy. I'm not going to have a shop.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that I had a shop and then I couldn't make it in the shop, so I turned mobile. No, I had my mobile business for 4 years before I started the shop. I'm just not a good shop owner. And I realized that in myself. Keith happens to be a good shop owner. I'm what I would consider a good technician. And I can build a business around that by providing things that other very good technicians in my area can't provide.
What's your wish?
My wife's a good shop owner, just so we're clear.
Gotcha.
I'm a technician.
Shout out to Liz, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for real. Like, for anyone listening, 100%. Liz runs the shop. She tells the guys what to do, tells me what to do. I will go out in the shop and be like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, hey, can you help me, blah, blah. And they go, Liz told me that you would come ask me to do something, and she said to tell you that you need to go in there and talk to her, and I'm supposed to do this. So that's probably a great plan. I'm going to go in the office and talk to her. So that's legitimately how it goes. I make some weird back-end decisions and stuff. Like, I figurehead-wise make some directions we're going, but she implement. I'm ideology, she's implementation. So yeah.
That's so cool that the two of you have like an awesome husband-wife combo within your business and everything.
She's a rock star.
Appreciate that, Chuck. We were just talking.
We had that conversation last night.
That's incredible.
A deep version of that.
We were talking to Benji. I don't, what's Benji's last name?
Burris and Christy.
And him and when he brought his wife on,
yes,
how his business was stagnant, and then it just took off after bringing her on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great story.
His daughter, and
that's a great story.
This story happened after I went to bed. This is long after midnight.
It was really good.
Yeah.
It was really good. And I was giving Keith props too with his wife and all the stuff that Keith does is like for where he is, if she wasn't involved, it really would have been a choice between his family or his business.
Yeah.
And you're going to lose one of the two. And the fact that his wife is there with him is just really, really cool to see, like from the outside, watching them operate together and seeing her smile. And, it isn't just, she's not just there humoring her husband. You could tell that she's every bit a part of it.
100%. I see that earlier.
Yeah, honestly, when I went to take the class, like I haven't had any personal experience meeting Liz. I met you at ASTA and we talked online and stuff like that. But aside from that, it's not like we've been hanging out, drink beers together for years. Right. So I really had no idea who Liz was, and that she was. I'm sorry to say it, she carried 65% of that class.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. The ADOS thing is her baby, so that's her. That's her passion project.
She is literally a rock star. She could get in the van tomorrow and get the work done.
She did programming. She did some diag. She's good at network diag, which makes me mad. Yeah, but to answer your question, I actually same thing that you said. Actually, I would rather that we. Like for everyone listening, I'm the math's been done a bunch of times. We need to be like $420 something an hour now for automotive repair to be where everyone else has been. Yeah. That's why you see all these electrical companies opening brand new buildings with new trucks, taking care of their employees, offering vacation, 401k, health insurance and stuff. And you see all these shops that I can't do it. We can't do it because we need literally 20 times the amount of equipment cost wise that a plumber needs or an electrician needs or any of those things. And we need way more training, way more technology. I mean, we do plumbing, we do electrical, we do
HVAC,
we do everything. I just put a blower unit in the register at my house. And my daughter was like, how do you know how to do this? I was like, because it's like a car, but easier.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But easier.
Less tools.
And would cost more.
Yeah.
And for those listening that don't know Keith, his $425 an hour suggestion is the type of work that Keith is talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the type of work. It's not. We're not going to charge $425 an hour to change your brakes.
No.
Or brakes.
Yes.
No.
And so if I can say mine as a follow up,
Definitely,
because
please.
it ties right into that, is why is brake suspension work still to this day more profitable than a diagnostic guy? And within that realm, however you want to fix it, whatever you want to do, within that realm is why we cannot attract the people we need for this field. Not everyone can do the diagnostic stuff where you have 15 different variables and each of those variables have variables within themselves. The minds that can handle that kind of work, it's not an intelligence thing. It's literally you're born with it or you're not. And there are certain minds that don't like to even be in that realm because it's uncomfortable.
Sure.
I'm not going to spend time there if it's uncomfortable for me. I don't like it.
Right.
If I don't like it, I'm not going to be good at it.
So-
So where are these minds that we need? Well, we can't attract them because the grease monkey is making
It's our image.
but it's our image, but he's also the real actual grease monkey who's just a parts changer, which is fine. That's fine too. I'm not knocking that. We need them too.
Yeah.
Right.
But to attract the ones we need to fix these cars and the complexities of these cars today, we can't attract these minds because our pay system's so royally screwed up. And we still have a mentality that we all fight, which is customers think that they shouldn't have to pay for diagnostics.
That's right.
And then we get into semantics and we define diagnostics and we shouldn't call it that. We should call it testing time. I'm good with all of that. But like if I could change one thing, just having that conversation with my brother yesterday, he's like, Paul, if I lose this guy and I'm just going to downsize and I'm going to tell everybody no with all these problem cars and I'm just going to do the
Make
easy
money.
stuff.
Yeah. Brake, suspension, steering.
Why is our field like that?
Well,
and it's not a knock at that idea.
Because where you were going was they're making all the money.
Yeah.
Those technicians are getting paid more because the way our pay system is, the way our structure is built.
And it's easier. And it's easier.
Yeah.
Like, why would I pick this really difficult path? Other than like some of us are weird. All of us at this table are
We're all
weird.
weird. Yeah.
We all have something that's off in us that likes the challenge of fixing this thing that nobody else could fix. Or maybe it's not even that. It's just like, I don't know. It's like it's a challenge to the car. Like this thing's not going to beat me.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
I am smarter than this car.
I think I can fix this. And so we get this like thrill, this like dopamine hit big time whenever we fix that car.
Yep.
And we don't need. It's not a mailman job. We don't. It's like open the mailbox, put it in next, and I got like 5,000 more to do.
Yes.
And then your mind's like, it's not that kind of job.
No.
It's you're challenged. You're not looking at the clock. You're not like. And then when you fix it, it's like, like I don't even need, even if you have a shitty boss, I said a swear word.
It's okay.
Even if you got a crappy boss that doesn't ever praise you or tell you good job or anything, this area of the field is one you don't need it because you generated your own attaboys as you watch that car leave that nobody else could fix.
So I'm going to share.
So we all got screws loose because we do it for way less than what we should be doing. So
I'm going to share my little story because you just hit on something really big about the dopamine and the kick and the data boys that you don't have to hear. The last employer that I had, we had a Mercedes CLK, a 2012 Blue Tech come in, and now when he hired me, he knew I hate European cars, hate them, and this car came in. Long story short, customer said intermittent no start, and we went down this not a rabbit hole. Well, he but it was like, and I get in the car and drive it, drives fine, starts up, drive it again, starts up. Finally, I go, what? I need more from this boss. Oh, don't go down the rabbit hole on this. Just change out the batteries to start because the customer says it's happened right after the customer put a brand new battery in his car to see. Okay, now that's behind the passenger side seat down on the floor. And he's like, so we're getting another battery and the secondary auxiliary battery. So finally I go, it takes 2 hours. I have nothing else to do, base tied up. Gives me nothing else. we're sitting there, and I go through, so the whole car, I'm like, well, I'll go through and check the fuses. Like, so every fuse in the car, because we're trying to find this intermittent thing, all the fuses are good. Cool. Get the 2 batteries put in. That's $450 for 2 batteries in this thing, and the labor and everything. And of course, then we go to the car, and now it doesn't start. And I go to with the Autel, and I grab the thing, because the Autel I'd put on before, and I could see all the topology, but I couldn't communicate with any module. And I'm like, that's weird. And I go to him and ask, because I'm not familiar with an Autel tool, and he goes, that normally means you might need to update the Autel. So we update the Autel, and then, of course, everything communicates. It has 105 codes. All lost communication with this, lost communication with that, lost communication with this. So I give him the printout. Well, he loses his, I didn't plan for effing this today and what, blah, 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 blah. And I'm sitting here going, I've been doing exactly what you've been told me to do, and I don't know, like, why I'm the brunt of this anger or whatever. But, so he goes out and he starts the phone a friend thing where, calling another shop and another shop for help and all this kind of stuff. And I'm walking around the car, and it's sitting there in the bay. And when I say the bay, this is an old center post air hoist.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm smelling something as I walk down the passenger side. That's a burning smell. Like, I've been doing this 30 years. I know what that smell is.
Yeah, your brain goes, oh, wait, what's going on?
Right? So,
yep.
And the key has been off at this point. So I reach up, stick my head, lay down on the floor, stick my head up under the rear bumper, and like, it's getting stronger. And so I reach up and I touch what I don't even know what it is, but it's a blind spot monitor on the right-hand side, and it's hot to the touch. And I thought, oh, that's cool. So then I put the thing up on the air hoist, and I reach up there and I try to unplug it. It's so melted you can't even unplug it.
Yeah.
Right? Now, none of the codes that I saw, because at 105, I didn't look at every one of the 105. There was lost communication, so I wasn't like the code gave me to go down to that right rear corner. Yeah. It wasn't, Identifix had nothing on this, if you look in no start or whatever. So I reach up and I go, hey, you got to come and see this. So I pry the module down, we try to unplug it, we cut the wires off. Tape over each wire, go and clear the codes. There's only 2 codes left that are saying lost communication with that, and the car runs perfect. It'll go into park, it'll start 100 times. We call up the dealer, and the dealer says, oh yeah, that happens all the time. This is the price for a new module and a pigtail. So he calls the customer and tables the repair. Customer says, I don't want to fix it, just if you can make it so that the run and drive. I'm trying to get rid of this thing. Not once did that employer kind of look at me and say, good job, or thank you, or wow.
Yeah.
Nothing. And so that's why within like a couple days from then, I had made the decision that this was not going to get better for me. It was only going to get worse. So, and I'm like, let me preface by this. I didn't need him to give me a hug and say, great. Sure. You pay me. I'm very much like, I've accepted that some people are going to be appreciative of what I can do or what my instincts and my experience lends me to do. And then others aren't going to care. I'm good with it. But people listening... You sometimes, what you don't do that way cost you a lot more than if you would just be, and it is what it is. I can't change who that person is. That is just his personality. There's a lot of pressure on his plate, right? He's 8 months into his new business, and there's a lot of irons in the fire, and he's trying to keep his head above water. Totally get it. But man, that hurts sometimes when you think you do something
we
really.
Need to hear a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, the male ego is very fragile.
And
we all need our egos.
Especially with mechanics.
Yeah.
We're all crybabies.
We are all crybabies.
We are.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and we need to be told good job.
And sometimes we have some losses.
Yeah.
Right? So when you have a win like that, you just want somebody to say good job.
Yeah, good catch.
Hey, man, nice find.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How hard was that?
Yeah. How'd you find that, man? I smelled it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Which is like, and I was telling him, like, for all my years of learning at his knee, hypothetically, right? I didn't stick a meter on that. I didn't go, I had 130 ohms or whatever. And so I didn't do nothing. I trusted my instincts and what I've always used.
Yeah.
And it was like, well,
that's weird.
That I know that's a problem. Yeah, it's funny
my
now.
Instincts too, and it doesn't tell me nothing.
Yeah. And yet, if you go back, so not a plug for Identifix, but if you go to Identifix and type in CAN, it's the top hit that comes up as that blind spot monitor demounted.
Right.
But if you go to no start or no park, it doesn't come up.
Right. That's a big thing with Identifix, though, is, sometimes the confirm fix are spot on like that, but you got to type the right word. And the less that you type, the better.
And I'm not saying we all need to be using that program. This is not a commercial for that.
Right.
But here's the thing.
In the right hands, it's a powerful tool.
Very
It
powerful
is.
tool. Yeah.
The right hands is
The right
key.
hands. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And any of those hot button, like all of us at this table, we see one that's like very high on the list. We verify it.
Correct.
It's not time to change the part yet.
Right. It's a shortcut. It's a
Yeah.
shortcut to
Yes.
go, oh, you know what? There were 47 hits that said this, 2 hits that said this, 1 hit that said this.
Right.
I'm going to investigate the 47 hits.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that's not my problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
Move
Good
on.
thing I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
Good thing I didn't buy it.
Right.
That, moving on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And the beauty of this is our brother, Brian Pollock, sent me a video before I found this of a Ford product that he had the rear bumper off. Same thing. Blind spot monitor on the Ford is shutting down CAN.
Very common on Chevy, too.
And so we have to look, like people that are listening we have to look beyond the name of the badge on the thing and realize that this stuff is all a lot more in common than we give it credit for. You've been saying that for years. And learn to treat it as a system and a circuit and not as a pattern failure kind of thing. Even though, so that's going back to it, like the pattern failure, unfortunately, in our industry is why we go back to we're not really ever valuing ourselves. Because once it's out there, we take the value of it away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, and we got talking about the Toyota control arms last night as an example
Right.
of, you know, if you still bill 14 hours for them, there's something wrong with you because, like, you know, and if I can do that job in 2 hours, you know, I should only charge 2. And then we got talking and it's like, but if you can diagnose something in 30 minutes, but he takes 3 hours, does that mean he shouldn't have charged 3 because you did in 20 minutes? No.
Not at all.
Right. So that's where I think in the industry, we're always walking that fine line of, well, he did it for free, so you shouldn't be able to charge, or he did it for half. Do what is right for you, right? What you need to do. Don't listen to what your neighbor's doing. Don't even, again, the customer is the one telling you that. Did you see it happen that way?
Yeah.
Then don't always believe what you're told, you know? My wish is that we just, you know, continue to keep making the strides that we're making. I think it's been so cool to see. And
This helps.
these kind of events are massive,
Yeah.
massive enabler, right? When you start to see the feedback in the network, and I'd probably give more hugs than I shake hands at this point
Right.
with the people that I'm starting to interact with, because it's like they're so vital now for my headspace that it's like, I'm not going to just shake your hand. Like if you're a stranger, I'll shake your hand because maybe you don't want to smell my beard. But you know, if we're tight, you're going to get a hug, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just the way it is.
And to be clear, when I said this helps, I'm talking about not necessarily this event. I'm talking about the people that are listening to you and to us.
Yeah. Right.
We're reaching people
Yes.
in what we do. We're having an effect on people in what we do in a positive way.
Yeah.
And we're sharing ideas that allow them to take an idea and build off of it. And in the next round to even do something better than what we did. And, you know, it's a good thing. You know, there's a lot of negativity surrounding what we do because, you know, some people have the idea we cheapen the industry somehow, and we don't need to touch on that.
kills me.
I'm the bad guy on multiple ends.
Yeah.
I charge too much. I'm ripping people off.
Yeah.
I'm supporting other shops I shouldn't support and keeping them in business because I'm a mobile guy.
Yeah.
All the things.
Oh, I'm devaluing the industry by showing module work.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, me too.
You too? Yeah.
Well,
So we've all heard the devaluing. I've heard that same
Right.
thing too.
Yeah,
It's
you're
like,
showing people how to.
I mean, but
Yeah.
I've always been a technician trainer. Like that's,
Yeah.
Chuck, you may not know this, but I you know, when I started filming in 2012 with YouTube, I mean, it was Charlie Bit Me and Double Rainbow Guy on YouTube. There
Right.
wasn't,
No
there
one was doing
wasn't
it. Yeah.
repair videos.
No.
There were some, but
Very small.
yeah. So I just heard about the platform. I'm like, oh, it's free. I can upload there. Oh, and you guys can access it. So I started filming just to make my class better.
Right.
It wasn't even. I didn't. There was
Yeah.
no such thing as it's a YouTuber. I don't know.
Right.
What is
By the
that?
way, earlier you said how far you've come when you were talking to me. I have videos that are older than all of yours.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was making videos before that. I just didn't do it as well.
Yeah.
As structured as
Yeah.
what he did. So
Yeah.
And when you said 2012, I didn't know that. I
Yeah,
was like,
2012.
I'm like my channel's from 09.
Yeah. 2012.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I didn't monetize anything for like the first year, even though I could have. I didn't know anything. I didn't care.
Right.
I'm just trying to train. I have a tool now that
Yeah.
I'm teaching them in class. You know, I wrote a book and they have that. And then I'm, you know, now I can show them procedures as I'm doing mobile, like you. Yeah. As I'm at these shops, I'm just going to pick up the camera. I'm like, okay, we talked about this and this and this, and here it is live now. This is what it looks like where we apply all those hard topics. See, it's not so hard once you use it. And so that's what I started doing. But then to have people say it cheapens, how does that devalue the industry?
But with your reach, I mean, anyone's reach in this room, honestly.
Yeah.
Let's say I have like 30 something thousand followers. I don't have 430 something thousand mechanics following me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I make a statement about, let's say, raising the labor rates, or I'm showing people how to do something, a lot of them aren't technicians, and the hope is that it interests some of the younger guys to get into this industry, or shop owners that follow me start going, yeah, you know what? Why the hell am I still charging $85 an hour?
Yeah.
When the dealer down the road is $240 an hour now,
Dude,
and I could do more than the dealer can.
You should be 40, 60 max.
40, 60 max. Bucka.
So Paul, we got to fill you in on the TikTok side of things. There was a used car lot guy that he walked right up to the hornet's nest and jumped on it with both feet and pissed all over the fire. He literally said, like, all mechanics are, they're ripping people off. And your mobile guy shouldn't charge more than $60 and bucka. If you're going to charge more than that, take it to the dealer. Well, it blew up, Paul.
And he said shop should be 100, 120 max.
Max.
If you have a beautiful shop.
Yeah.
Well, I forget what example he gave.
Yeah.
He's
125.
He's in Florida.
Right.
He's in Florida.
Is he a tech or something? Or
No, he's a used car salesman with 13 cars on his lot and a porta potty out back.
I wish you guys could see
I
the
haven't
face.
seen the porta potty yet, but
I don't know
think
if it's real,
there.
but it makes
I
sense.
started that. I said it's a porta potty back because it looks like a trailer, Paul, right up front of a car lot, right? And he, and he shows videos of himself going to the auction, and he just kept going. Like, he got the bone in his mouth, and like a dog, he just.
If you notice, though, he walked himself back on a lot of shit.
Well, I didn't notice that. I just
Why
noticed
did-
other videos.
did a
he was
lot of
talking about
people-
how he's not making a lot of money. And I'm
Right.
like, I wonder why.
Oh yeah, a
a
lot.
lot of people jumped in and defended the industry? Or
Yes.
I have a
TikTok
habit
is-
of getting triggered by something like that and then making a video. And then
Nice.
like you usually, I feel like it's always me to get triggered first.
And then I make one.
yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't made one yet, but I'll make one. It'll really upset him.
Right. And then people follow suit, But in the videos after that, all of a sudden it was, I'm not telling you what to charge, And
Giving you
no,
my
I'm not
opinion.
saying, so.
Because Paul, like, for him, he goes to the auction and buys a car for whatever we don't know. It's never
Yeah.
disclosed. And then he brings it home and marks it up whatever he can get away with. Does as little as possible
And little as possible.
to make it safe and reliable.
Yeah.
Calls in a mobile guy, no offense to mobile guy,
Right.
allegedly,
Safe and
to
reliable.
put on a bunch of, really cheap parts that may not fix it. And then he goes, all these mechanics that came by and I paid them to fix it, to put a fuel pump in, and the car still didn't run. They still wanted to get paid. They still charged me. Did you supply the pump?
And he said he doesn't pay for Diag.
He will not pay
Right.
for that.
We'll not pay for Diag.
And this is perfect. I never have to see, hear, or deal with this guy ever.
And he feels upcharging on parts is wrong.
Yeah.
Yet his whole business model is to upcharge on a car he just bought.
Yeah, that's a part, bro.
That's a part. That's a lot of parts. You just bought a bundle of
Someone's
parts.
just not thinking through everything here. The internet taught him real quick, didn't it?
Yes.
I listened to like 4 videos of his, and one of them he was like, I'm thinking about getting out of the car game because I got all these friends that's a plumber and a da-da-da-da, and they're making money and they're buying boats and buying trucks, and I can barely keep up. And I'm like, I think if you're paying your guys $60 an hour to fix your car, you probably aren't getting very good repairs, so you probably aren't making much money.
He used to have a moving company, and this was his famous line. He says, I had a moving company, and if we didn't sell boxes, because we're not in the box business, we're in the car business. All the other extras that they, people put on, or he thinks that we in our industry are putting on to up the price. And I said to him in my video response, I said, no, we're offering services. And that's what people want, right? U-Haul has made billions of dollars because of the fact that you show up to get a U-Haul truck and they have boxes that you can buy to put your
You're going
shit
to put
in.
boxes in the U-Haul. And
And-
everybody wants to go to U-Haul and Lowe's. And
Yeah. But he can't see that method.
Dude, the used car salesmen are the worst.
Well, here's the thing, though, is one of my best friends is a used car salesman, and he is like he's like the unicorn of used car salesmen.
Yeah.
He fixes stuff that comes back that no one else would ever. Hey, my right rear window switch stops working. I bought this car 3 months ago. Just drop the car off. I'll look at it. I'll fix it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
He does a 6-month in-house powertrain
that's cool.
warranty.
Yeah.
I mean, it's internal lubricated part failure,
Which
obviously.
means he's trying not to sell junk.
Right, correct.
He's trying to provide
Yes.
good services.
I just blanket statement made.
Right.
Used car salesmen suck, except for Chuck's best friend. Sorry, whoever you are. Sorry
No,
about that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He is the only used
Yeah,
car
yeah,
that I
yeah.
got the used car business that I service, and I've fired about 5 or 6 other used car businesses that I used to service. But he is like the unicorn of the
five
used
or
cars.
6 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your famous customer, that shop, he was going to sell that car.
Oh yeah. He's
Right.
he's a body shop and car sales.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
So there was a double
the
whammy.
name.
That's
there.
illegal in New York, by the way.
that's the name. Body shop and auto
To
sales.
sell a car with any airbag issues or tampered with airbags.
Yeah.
It's as of like 2-3 years ago became illegal.
Yeah.
So that's, in a nutshell for me is like when I keep that kicked off. And again, here's the beauty of this, right? Like Paul's not in the platform to TikTok side as much as Heavy. But you and I, when we saw that go down, it's like a united front immediately against, something that, and we're not looking for fights, but it's like, we're going
I
to
feel like I
stand
need
up
to
for it.
spend more time on TikTok.
We're going to stand up for it.
You honestly should.
I have a channel. Just we don't feed it like we feed the other monsters.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I say all the time, it's been so pivotal for the growth of my platform. It's been way,
that's cool.
way more effective. And, it's TikTok, and Chuck's going to coach me through a lot of how to improve mine because nobody apparently likes to see my face like this. And, it's
I told him I was going to edit out his
Yeah.
pauses.
Yeah.
Send me the videos. I'll edit your pauses out.
but I mean, if I can get it as polished as you and Chris Enright do, then I mean, I'm laughing. Like I said to you, I said, how did you manage to do that? In one of your videos, and the same thing with Chris. I'm like, how did you get it to like you split it all up? And he's like, I'll teach you at Asta.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
that's the power of this platform is we make the change. We stand up for ourselves and say, I'm not okay with that stereotype anymore. And this is why. And it doesn't matter if I convince him or not. I don't care. I'll never meet the man. I don't need to convince him. But it's the other 100 people who don't know, who aren't in the realm, just agreeing with him blindly. I'd rather talk to them about why that is than let it go on.
You know what's crazy though was that video performed well for me, and I would almost expect that video to have a lot of negative comments because it performed.
Yes.
Well, right, which is sad to say, but that's kind of how TikTok works a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure YouTube and Facebook are the same way, but
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's controversies always.
right.
Yeah.
But the comments were all in support of us and not of in him. And then you go to his video, and he's got maybe 5 people supporting him in the comments,
Yeah.
and 40 people telling him he's wrong.
And they,
So that's the power of it too.
Of the 4 supporting him, of the 5, 4 of the 5 were other used car
other
owners.
used car dealers,
Yeah.
right?
So of course they're going to support him.
Or himself, he probably liked his own comment.
Right now, again though,
You always know when those.
if that video got 150,000 views, again, it's not 150,000 used car salesmen watching it. It's not 150,000
That's right.
mechanics watching it. So now the consumer has a better understanding of why our pricing is our pricing, and that's just always the goal,
So in closing, what's everybody, have to say about going forward? What's the goal for them? What's in the next 3 months, Paul? What do you want to implement for yourself? Anything changed?
Well, we haven't been too public about what we're doing, but so last year we paid out 12 1099s through the company.
It's awesome.
And want to expand on that more. I realized I sucked my then 16-year-old into this business. He's now 24, about to have a second kid.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. I realized that I need to build this business to something that I can hand to him, because I drew him into this and I need to maintain it for him. And so ultimately, this idea has been set in motion for a long time, but we're trying to build on our platform. I feel like that I have covered the foundational stuff from if someone doesn't know anything about electrical from square one to get them to X level, which will give them that nice foundation. And then we can just continue to build off of that and have other trainers come in, other guys, bringing us content, which is what we're doing. By the way, I'm open, Keith and Chuck. You too, Jeff.
I'm down.
Yeah, but we're doing that, and it's working. And I mentioned the charity when we started. This field has always been good to me. There's not ever been a time where I've said that this field sucks. I may have had a day where I've said, no, not may have. I've definitely had days where the best description I can give you is just give me a shovel. I'm going to dig my own grave. Throw me in it while I'm alive. Just bury me alive. That's how I feel. That's how this field can make you feel sometimes.
Yeah.
But other than those, the field has always been good to me. And we started that charity together, my wife and I, and giving back to the field that's been really, really good to me. And what we feel like we're sitting on something that we can within 5 or 6 years we'll probably be empty nesters. Just my youngest two are still at home and the older two are gone, and something that I can do with my wife together, where we don't have to be so self-focused, where we can look to others and see where we can help people. And it just really provides and you guys all know this, when you help someone, or even it's kind of the same thing when you fix that car. It's the same thing when you hear that feedback from a student that's like, hey man, I quadrupled my income because of you.
Yeah.
That gives me goosebumps still, even just talking about it. Like, talk about dopamine shots, and
Right.
when you're doing stuff like that, it's just, then you're not worried about yourself so much. And so ultimately that's where my headspace is. I'm here, not really, like I said, not really representing ScannerDanner, but representing our charity, and just see where it goes. Like, I'm nervous. I watch numbers and algorithms, and people are paying for me. Like, can I make this thing work? Still using my foundation, but can I build on it with other people's help?
Yeah.
And that's what ultimately where I'm at. I recognize that none of us are promised tomorrow.
Yeah.
I could get in an accident on the way home, and then I am no more. I want to set my family up. We continue to live debt free, which is a big thing too. This could all crash and burn for all of us, and whatever we do in a heartbeat. And I think living debt free is really important.
Living smart.
If it all crashes and burns, I just go work for my brother, and I won't even care what he pays me.
Yeah.
And I'll just go home at the end of the day, and I don't have to think about any of this stuff. I miss those days. Like,
Walk in the toolbox.
I'm done. I'm going home. I'm going to play the PlayStation. Go play some hockey.
Go
My
fishing.
mind's not in on the job, and this doesn't provide us that. But it's been a great field. We're happy with what we're doing, and we'll see. It's still defining itself as we go, and we're excited. I'm really excited that we got to meet too, Chuck. It's pretty cool.
Not to put it lightly, you've always been a fucking legend.
That's cool.
To be here, sitting at the same table of you is a highlight of my life at this point.
Well,
you know what I mean? So
feelings mutual, man. I only know a little bit about you, but I know Jeff talks really highly of you, and I've seen your stuff, and I like your excitement. And your passion comes through, like, with the few videos that I've seen, like, and your stuff, which is really cool to see, man. So
I appreciate it.
So keep it up. Don't listen to the naysayers, and someday we'll both be sitting with our flip phones and not caring about anything, because
I have my Nokia,
My
brick.
house with all my chickens and goats.
There you go, chickens and goats, man. Let's go.
Yeah.
I got
Let's
sheep
go.
and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Come on out, let's watch squirrels. And
Yeah.
What about you,
fish.
Keith? Same kind of question. Like, the next 3 months, 6 months, the year.
I hope to get some of these projects I've got started done. I'm a never-ending disaster, so I will never quit coming up with things. So it's in 3 months it'll be a whole nother set of things.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
so scatterbrained. Yeah, it's but I got a lot of fun stuff that I hope to get done. Traveling a bunch this year, hoping to slow it down next year a little bit and just do some of the big events again. I'm doing like a lot of private shop training right now. So I'm going to different shops every weekend.
Yeah.
I think Liz said that she has 36 weekends out of this year that are
But you do it with her,
right? A lot of it I'm doing
with
it with
your
her,
family.
A lot of it doing it with the kids.
Yeah, the kids were here.
The kids are here, so
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, so we're having a blast. We got them L1 shirts. They're running the booth.
You guys are riding the wave together.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
So that's why I'm okay with 36 weekends. Because 36 weekends with my kids and wife, or wife. The kids don't come every time. She doesn't come every time, but it's enough that I'm not missing out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We're spending a ton of time together. So I hope over the next 3 months, though, we got some new guys coming to the shop. I got a new guy that started Tuesday. Hope George does really good. So
congrats,
George. Hope you're killing it. And then but it's also been a blast being here because this is kind of fun. I always was like, never wanted to have quite what you had and never wanted to have quite what you have just because I don't have the attention span for it or the dedication for one single thing. I like the fact that I'm doing all the things.
Yeah.
Right.
Doing some modules, doing some videos, doing training, traveling, still running a shop. I like it. I like the busyness. I couldn't retire.
Yeah. You're a guy that functions on 5 hours worth of sleep, and as always, your mind's going in a million directions. Squirrel, at a second. Yeah. So, what about
I'm just jealous that you had all the stuff to play with.
I have been playing with this thing the whole time. I want to put it up here and spin it, but then the camera's on me too. Like I would have been sitting here doing this.
I'm watching, going, it looks like fun.
Here. That one's squishy. It doesn't work as well.
And so
that one's not as good.
Chuck, what's the next for you?
So over the last couple months, I would say I've been investing heavily into more tooling. The reason that I got into programming years ago was because I got screwed by, I guess I won't say the name because we're on the podcast. If it was one of my videos, I'd have no problem saying, Spaceship 2. But essentially, that company was the reason that I got into programming. Now, as I've accidentally delved further and further into it, I see that there's a fundamental problem with a lot of my customers that have the same issue that I did when they send out a module for programming or cloning.
Yeah.
So I've been investing the tooling into doing that, and I'm hoping within the next, hopefully about the next month, I'll be offering that as a service, not just for shops, but for people, for module, maybe not repairs at first, but cloning, programming, stuff like that. You need something for the vehicle. At least you could get it from a source that is going to do it correctly. Or if it's one of those modules, because everything is module to module case basis, that I'm still learning on, someone that's going to make sure they do the right thing. Unlike a lot of these bigger companies that just tell you, send it back, and then we couldn't find anything wrong with it. We can't give you your money back.
I sprayed another coat of paint on it. Try this one.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we painted it black this time, not silver.
Starship 2?
Starship 2.
I was thinking, I was like, I know who he's talking about. That's great. That's great.
Yeah. Starship 2. Starship 2 is the reason for my entire programming journey.
And I will hook you up the best I can with like the resources I'm using for that right now.
That's cool. I appreciate that.
Yeah, because I got like a form built out and stuff where people fill it out, and then I'll give it to you.
When I saw that your site was on the screen, I saw there was a little EEPROM thing up there, and I was like, oh, I guess I'm gonna have to go to Keith's site and see what he's got going on up there.
Side, there's a whole other side for the module repair that I'll get you all the resources I got.
Cool, very cool.
Appreciate so Chuck, as you perfect this part of your craft, keep me in mind in the future for doing a class for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're paying guys, and it can be a mutual thing too, and this is for, other people listening to. Shameless plug for what I'm trying to build. I would try to recruit Keith, but I think we might be a little bit in competition with each other, but that's okay.
I don't think so. I think we complement really well.
Yeah, I wonder too if
I heard at class, not to cut you off, I heard a class yesterday, a guy was like, I'm not where you are yet. I'm still ScannerDanner, and I'm like, nice. You're past where you need to be.
No, that's good.
You can be here. I was like, you need to be both. Like they're both.
Yeah.
They complement.
So yeah.
I do the other stuff that you're not doing as much of.
Well, I've talked to Keith. Exactly. I've talked to Keith about that. Us doing some type of collabs too. But my eyes are open to like. It's really. I didn't mean to steal your fire here.
No, you don't have to steal. Oh no.
I'm interested in the younger guys, and I'm interested in Chuck. So I'm just trying to recruit Chuck. I've already tried to recruit this guy sitting next to me, and he's got too much on his plate right now. But I think we can. I think we could definitely work together, and it would be fun to work together with you two sometime in the future, Chuck.
I'd be happy to.
I think that'd be an excellent collaboration
We'll talk
between the two of you for sure. Right? I think that, like I said last night, that's what brings one platform closer to the other platform.
Right.
I hate that divide of, well, I'm only on this app and I'm not on that app. Like, man, this industry, there's so few still people really putting out the kind of nuggets that people in this room are doing, that we got to look past the platform, and it's like, okay, try to find another way to follow that person then, or collaborate with them or something like that. So, you know, I tell everybody, make a commitment to go to a training event in, you know, next year and do that network with people, because you're going to sit through some great classes, but man, when you sit there at night and have those conversations, like that's when the real power comes out, you know, and it's, I'm blessed to have all of you here, and I'm blessed to have everybody be able to call you all friends. And, you know, thank you for sitting down with me today. This has been, this was the whole reason for me making this trip, was to have this recording done.
That's awesome.
And, you know, I love all of you. You guys are fantastic. So thank you, everybody.
Keep up the good work, man.
Thank you, man. I love you all. Talk to you soon.